Hey there, everyone. Hey, thanks for dialing in and joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about buyer representation agreements and using those in your business. And we have several people dialing in right now. So here we go. You know what's interesting? I'm noticing some of the news things, and one person that really stands out that speaks very well to the changes is Barbara Cochran, right?
Settlement, just your initial reaction to it, the disruption, will it cause disruption throughout the industry?
I think a lot less than people expect it to, but what it is causing is total confusion. Brokers are confused, buyers and sellers are confused. I even think the people who made the amendments are confused.
She explains it very well, where she's saying, our commission's going to go down? No. Are buyers not going to have to pay a commission? No. Are sellers not going to have to pay a commission? No. The two main changes that we're dealing with today is that you can't put the buyer co-operating commission in the MLS system, but sellers can still offer it. And number two, we're going to need to have some agreements signed before we take buyers out in our cars. And I think that's all a good thing. What do you guys think on that?
My MLS already had started this in 2019, so we actually still do post what the compensation is. It's just more explanation, and the people that get whacked on their hands are the ones that want to run in and run out with a listing signed in 5 minutes or 5 seconds or whatever. So it basically comes down to, if you do your job the way you should have been doing in the first place, and I put this emphasis more on the brokerage's designated or managing broker, because this is where it should have been taught. Real estate's still a liability, and as Wendy's grown and stuff like that, seeing I don't know how many people you have under, but knowing that it's a reflection of you and trained on you, and in a lawsuit they sue one, they sue all, you still have to protect yourself.
The brokers are definitely at jeopardy, but I have seen that there are certain states, and Washington's one of them, that's been talking about this a year ago.
Since 2019. The other thing that's funny with this, I don't, my MLS, and I laugh when I say this, I can't stand them sometimes, a lot of times, but then I learned something real quick. If I can't stand them, no one else can either. Instead of complaining or bitching about it, you go find a way around it to be able to do what you want to do and leave the others in the dust, complaining, doing nothing. We have to display, our buyers can see what the buyer agent is getting paid for commission. And I don't agree with that, because at that point you get buyers trying to work the buyer agent to, well, you're getting this. If I work with you, will you give me a discount or whatever? It's like, that to me sucks. If you're going to make us do it, then display the whole damn commission and be done with it.
I think we definitely have seen some changes, at least in California. Well, I can say that they made Zillow and Realtor.com and all those other platforms disclose what the buyer agent commission is going to be, right?
Yep.
And that, I think, started happening last year.
Okay.
In California, nothing's changed for us really until sometime in July, maybe. So for us here in California, business as usual, nothing's different. We are getting plenty of buyers asking questions about this. I'm getting sellers asking questions about this. There's a lot of misinformation out there in the news headlines. I watched some of them just the other night, and they're news reporters talking to the Washington White House press secretary asking questions about it that are totally, they don't even know the question, what the issue is. And the press secretary is talking about junk fees. It's crazy stuff. I think we're in a period of heightened awareness around this topic. So it's going to be up to us to really, how do we convey this change to people in a way that brings their comfort level down, makes it a little bit more understandable for some people, because there is a lot of bad news out there. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing anything like that, Wendy? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I just stay out of it. Be a contributor, not someone that's gonna fucking sit there and listen to all this negativeness, because it's just realtors talking up their ass. They don't know what's going on or what's gonna happen. They're just saying stuff and they're freaking everybody out. And I'm sick of them freaking out my new agents, because that it's just not a thing. I put an Instagram link in there, and I really like what Brent Gove said the other day. So if you want to play it and share your screen,
Yeah, let's do
it's
that.
it's good. I love Brent Gove, and he's a nice positive twist of a person. So I like that. I hate all this negative, and I'm trying to keep my agents out of it, but they keep listening.
Everybody nationwide has to sign a buyer broker agreement. Buyers have now become like listings. You must meet with them, you must sign a buyer broker agreement, and you must put on there what your commission's going to be. That's really new. With buyers, it used to be the Wild West. You take them out, they get inspired, you write an offer, and you got what was ever in the MLS. Not anymore, starting in July. This could be great. You can put down my commission's 3%. Do you want to pay it or do you want the seller to pay it? The seller normally pays it. I want the seller to pay it. Done. This is super easy. And instead of getting 2.5, like a lot of your MLS says, you're going to get 3. Congratulations, you just got a pay raise.
Okay, I like that. I seriously hope it works out that way.
I love it. I love it. I think it's genius. Do you want to
You
pay
know.
it or you want me to have the seller pay it?
Yeah.
Because you're literally going to write up the offer and you're gonna put in there what you want. So if the seller has the money to pay it and they want to make a stronger offer, then they can absolutely pay it. If not, guess what? We're gonna go for it.
I got to tell you a story. Last week I was on vacation. I sat down with someone who ran a large heating and air conditioning business. And then one of his daughter's husbands, his son-in-law, was in the mortgage business, and he's talking about getting out of the business now because of this change and all kinds of craziness and whatnot. And I said to him, I go, look, do you think the price of homes are going to change? Someone's going to have to pay the commission. Realtors don't work for free, right? It's built into the price already. So if you separate it one way or another, if the buyers pay or if the sellers pay that side of the commission, what difference does it make? It's going to be the same, right? And then I guess so. I go, yeah, this is not the end of the world, people. I love Brent and his take on this. And it's, yeah, this is an opportunity actually to get paid more. I agree 100%. And if you go there and the seller doesn't want to pay it, you can always knock it
Then
down.
you negotiate. Yeah,
you
can
negotiate it.
Yeah.
All right. So good. Problem solved, right? Jeez Louise. Okay, we can't talk about teaming up and what kind of commissions we're going to charge, but that's just an idea. Pick whatever kind of commission that you want and go with that. Pick out what you decide to do. Okay, let's just talk a little bit more on some of these screens. I want to get to the end of the deal and not get paid, right? So you want to make sure you have this buyer broker agreement. Let's get ahead of these changes and start implementing this stuff in today's practice. And we'll go over some quick buyer consultations today, scripts about the buyer agency, and then seller co-ops and what kind of discussions that we're having on those things. So first, just the recap. I know everyone knows this, but let's just recap this for real quick. A buyer consultation can include the following topics: location of the home, the price range that they're looking for, features of the home, what are like the market conditions, what's going on in those areas and what you're seeing, services provided, how you'll support the buyer in their mission, what kind of needs and wants the buyer has, the mortgage process, quick intro, introduce them to your lender, etc. You can talk about the inventory, set them up on drips, talk about what the buyer's negotiating power is today. You can address this new change and what it's going to entail. Interest rates. I think buyers have a lot of questions right now. It's, whoa, am I going to have to pay the commission? What happens if the seller doesn't want to pay the commission? And sellers, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to get the most number of buyers walking through your door? Do you think you're going to need to offer something? Yes. Interest rates. What are the interest rates? The local price to sale ratios. And then talk about the buyer agency agreement. So every state's going to have a different buyer agency agreement. Here's a couple scripts that I found, sample scripts. When presenting the buyer agency agreement, it's our policy to have you consent to me representing you as your agent before we start looking at homes. By signing this, you're agreeing to that. Script 2, I'm required to have an agreement between us to be able to act as your agent and show you homes. I just need your signature to get started. By signing this agreement, you're authorizing me to represent you and look out for your best interests through the home buying process. In order for me to help you without possible conflicts of interest, protect your confidentiality, and operate in your best interest, I'm required to have you sign this agreement before I can represent you as an agent. My broker requires that I have my buyer sign this agreement so I can get the work on your side. What do you guys think of those?
I always tell my agents, blame the person that's not there. Our MLS makes it a requirement though for the buyer broker agreement. You got to sign it. So what I tell them though is, in a way, it's a protective thing for them, so they don't walk in an open house and someone trick them into signing something that they find that they've now locked themselves and obligated themselves to paying much more for a home than they would have had they had the representation that they get through me.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, me personally, I've never used a buyer agency agreement before, so this will be the first time that I'll start throwing this one out there.
Be very careful on a couple, because like ours, and I just speak for the Northwest MLS of Washington State, it's not enforceable against a VA buyer. So the government, even though they say you can't do this, then they have their own rules to what you can't do against what they tell you can't do. So VA has said that it's not enforceable, and I'm pretty sure if it's here, it's all everywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure VA, until they change their rules on what they're going to do, we don't know. And we don't even know if lenders are going to make buyer commissions something that's financeable or not. So, all right. So we've got a couple of objection handlers here. Let's look at those. Oftentimes, I find that if a buyer is uncertain about signing this agreement, it usually means I haven't answered all of your questions, or if there's something you haven't told me. Was there anything that you wanted to cover today that I forgot to ask you? Number two, what is it that concerns you? Would it help if I stepped out of the room for a bit so that you two can chat privately? So, right, if you got a couple there and give them a break, let them talk about it, come back, got any questions? Great, sign here, let's get going. Number three, signing this agreement is actually our policy since I can't be 100% committed to you unless you're 100% committed to me representing your best interests. I like that one. I sense a little apprehension. I tell you what, if we get to a point in the process where you don't like working with me, then I have no problem ending our agreement. I just ask that you let me know as soon as possible. How does that sound? I think that's fair enough for everybody, right? I tell you what, how about we look at a few homes, make sure you're comfortable working with me, then we can worry about signing it. I don't know if that's gonna be applicable in the future here. Several years back, I did have a little form that I had that I created, and I have to look it up. And I did do this with several buyers where I just had them sign, I'm going to look out for your best interests. You agree to do this, let me know. Just like a personal agreement with people. And I'd have them initial that. Of course, that whole agreement is cares. And in the bottom it says, if you don't like working with me, great, let me know, and then we'll tear this agreement up. But until that time, we're going to be working together. And that was very easy for me to get people to sign that. And it really worked because they really did
If you-
glued to me.
Yeah, if you just basically say, hey, I am promising to map out all these properties you want to see, including the ones you find on Zillow and every other website besides my website. Call and check offer status to make sure there's no offers on the property. And then I'm going to drive around and I'm going to show you all of them and give you my opinion on pricing and the home and whatever else you need to know. And then I'm going to negotiate the best contract for you and help you through the home inspection, the appraisal, the financing, the closing. But in order for me to do all this for you, I need you to promise to be my buyer. And
Right.
that's what this agreement is all about. So I promise to do this for you. You promise to do this to me. It's like we're getting married. And I know we haven't really dated yet. And usually you don't get married until you date. I get it. But this is required from my broker. So I have to have it signed before we go shopping.
Unless you're in Vegas, what happens in Vegas?
And if you need to have a cocktail before you sign it, Just kidding. We're not allowed to do that even in Vegas.
I explain I give them the opt-out option. I call them, I tell them straight out, because I do have a lot of my buyer clients are VA anyway. So I just explain to them, especially when you tell them it's not enforceable, but the fact that when they understand it's all about protecting them, because the with them of what's in it for me, they're making sure nothing can happen to them bad. And I go, well, it's actually on a VA deal, it's not enforceable anyway. But what you'll find is when you walk out of that open house or something, you'll be thanking me later for the fact that I'm protecting you and your interests, and they're good with that. If you're doing what you're supposed to, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you very seldom will you lose a buyer unless someone picked them off somehow from you.
Yeah. But tell me what you mean a little bit more about, because I never really understood it when it says this is for your protection.
All right. Look at open houses. Wendy, how many of your open houses do you sit?
A few, not too many. I
Now
try
watch
not
this,
to do
watch
too
this.
many.
She's laughing. She knows what I'm saying.
Zero, good. I
I get
would go for
calls.
0, but I've been opening up to a few.
I
I
get
have
calls.
agents. I have agents that do my open houses.
There we go. I get calls all the time from agents, not even in my company, who want to set my open houses. I'm like,
Yes.
sure. Because on my end, hey, the seller's happy, someone's there. But you
Right.
get a buyer that goes around, they get these agents, and you know, in fairness to buyer agents, they got burned out for a while there because you had to go show a house to person if they couldn't afford it or you lost a buyer. So you get buyers going in all the time to these places unaccompanied by an agent. And the buyer there, oh yeah, hey, we got a lender sitting here with us. We can see what you can do. And this time, if you like the house, we can get you in it today. And you lose buyers; they get picked off. And
Right.
when you explain the process to the buyer that, look, I don't want you coming out of the door wondering what just happened, and you find out that instead of the closing costs and all the things you could have got, this person worked for the seller, not you. And now all of a sudden you are coming to the table with $15,000 more on closing costs, paid $20,000 more for the house. Your payment is way over what it would have been, and you're obligated to a contract you signed because you didn't have me there representing your interests.
I like that.
And when you put money on the table in a way that people see it, they're like, oh my God. And I tell them, don't be scared. When I do the buyer agent agreements, Herb, I like it comes to, I'll tend to sign anyway. And then emails to them. And then I will email and say, save this in your phone. When you walk in there and you get signed, I tell them in every walk of life and every job or whatever, not everybody's good and ethical. I go, when you walk in there and that person's trying to just press you for something, just say, hey, I've got a buyer agent agreement. I go, they will back off. If they don't, do me a favor, call me and I will take care of it. And when they see that you're got their interests at heart, they're yours.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. You're right on that. So perfect. Yes. Has anyone not had a buyer agency agreement signed yet? Patricia? Wendy? Oh, you've never done it. Oh, wow. That's exciting.
20 years. I've never had
She-
to.
She's not, she doesn't know what she's talking about. We just had one signed.
Last year.
Did? What did I say to get it signed?
We
I'm
just,
here.
it was a past client and he had a 1031 exchange. I need a condo now. We sent the
yeah, that's
offer
right.
with the buyer broker agreement. He signed everything at the same time.
So we sent it with the offer.
Yes. I would definitely, no matter what, I would definitely
You
send it with
care.
an offer. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Sherry, stop shaking your head. I know. Trust me, this is tough because like I've never had to have one. Like I feel like if I'm not a good agent, you have every right to go find another one. And I have never lost anybody because I'm a good agent. So this is all, I don't like it.
What about you? Have you ever used them?
Well, I'm a new agent, so I'm learning a lot from this conversation. This is my first time chiming in, and I'm in Wendy's skin in the game, so I learn a lot from her. But
Don't
my
learn this part from me.
no, but my state mandates it, so we've always used buyer agreement. You
Okay.
know, we've
All right.
always used it, so we don't have issues with it.
What state are you in?
Michigan.
Michigan. Okay. So in Michigan,
Oh, that's Carrie.
yeah. So Carrie, chime in on this one.
She
because I'm
perked up
really
all of a
interested.
sudden. Carrie just,
Because
Yeah,
I can multitask.
yeah.
because this is new for California. We've never had to do this. It's like
No,
I'm on
we've
Wendy's
always-
boat. It's like
We've always
never
had
had to
a
do
buyer's
this.
agency we had to sign, always, and we have to have the exclusive buyer agency. We have to have both, which
Mhm.
is the exact same thing,
Yeah.
except everything at the top is different, but you gotta have both signed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Double the
At
trouble.
what point do you get it signed? Like before you walk in a door to a house?
Yes.
With an offer?
No, so since it wasn't legally required for us, we just had our brokerages make us do it. No, I just send it with the offer.
Okay, so you didn't do it until actually they're ready to make an offer. Okay,
Some people don't. People in my office generally do it ahead of time before they start running around. Yeah, it just depends on the situation. Like that 1031 exchange, I totally understand that. The guy's in a rush. He's just like, don't even read it, and they just sign it, just get it done. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you why I don't have them sign it ahead of time, because say both of them are signed, right? Hey, Carrie, buyer. Hey, Carrie, can you come show me this property? So sorry, my day's booked, but I can get you in tomorrow. Oh, okay. They call Wendy. Wendy, can you get me into this right now? I sure can. Wendy's property doesn't matter if they're signed with me or not. Wendy was the procuring cause. Wendy gets the commission. Does not matter.
That's
If
the point of the
I-
agreement then.
Yeah,
what-
The other part of that though, that's crazy. The seller isn't obligated to pay the commission for the buyer doing it. It's the agent is owed the commission by the buyer. If the buyer had no money, you're gonna take the buyer to court. And that's a lot of times why nobody ever did it. The only thing I've done different now on my end is I would send them the law of agency out of my transaction desk so that it was already set up and an account for them. And I've just added that to it to send out now, so it's in there.
Hmm.
Yep, we have our agency agreement too that has to be signed.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Well-
crazy. I went and showed one of my listings to a buyer the other day that had an agent that was out of town. And it's common courtesy just to do that. Number one, I want it sold. Am I gonna go after it because I showed it and I deserve the commission? No, I just want it sold. And if I could go and schmooze them and make them fall in love with it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I had that yesterday. Same thing. The agent was out of town. They're on vacation. Great. I'm doing a showing at this time for somebody else. Bring them on. Just send them over. Yeah,
Yep.
why not?
I won't do it for the lazy buyer agent, but if they're legit, and what that does, it makes the relationship better because the buyer agent is so thankful that you didn't try to pick up their buyer that
Mhm.
they really stepped to the plate to work with you.
Cool. I guess we'll find out as things move ahead, especially Michigan and Washington. You guys already have it, and states like California and Nevada. This is new stuff. So I guess we'll work through all of these kind of things. At least
I'm not worried. I'm not
Uh,
worried. They're still gonna need us, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not worried either. And even if we do end up where it's mandatory now, where it's legally, where we have to have it signed before we show the property, be like, hey, they passed this stupid ass rule. I'm so
Right.
sorry. But you
Blame
gotta
it
sign
on
this
the
before
freaking
we can get in the
government.
house. It's not my rule. It's the dumbass rule they just made freaking everywhere. So I'm so sorry for this.
No,
Sign it,
that's my
let's
famous
go.
blame the person that's not there. That's how that works really well.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
I've
love
been
that.
to four listing appointments since this has went into place. And none of the sellers I've met with even have heard of this.
Oh, really?
What
I
I've-
have one tomorrow and she's heard of it.
What I've added to. what
Yeah,
I've added
lucky
to the
you, Wendy.
description- What I've added in my description when I sit down, I go back to the original setup for how it used to be, where the agents were sub-agents to the listing agent. And then I explain how after a buyer agent is shown, how agent is shown a house to 20 different houses where the buyer never met and they never met the owner, that the relationship had been more established to the buyer side and how it evolved to the whole buyer agency thing. And I showed how commissions were to begin with already doled out. And now it's really no different because when the agreement is reached, this is what I'm paying you to sell my house. And all we're doing, how they broke it down on our listing agreement, is it further discloses how much is given to the buyer agent, we have on our forms, even non-MLS agents
Yep.
that they're willing to do with. So I just tell them they further broke down something that's always been in place. I haven't had no problems.
Yeah.
that's great.
I
Yeah.
explained it to someone and because I just figured everybody knew because everybody seems to be watching the news except for me. But anyway, and then I just told them, I'm like, you may have heard blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. Anyway, it's ridiculous, but basically you're going to be paying my commission and this is what I charge. But if you decided to not pay the buyer's commission, the buyer's agent's commission, then we're going to be looking at about 60% less offers. Because number one, FHA and VA, they don't normally have money for down payment and closing costs and to pay their buyer's agent. So they won't be showing your house. So we want the most people in here, the most opportunity to get you top dollar, to get you multiple offers so that I can negotiate. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting here either for a minute or you're going to be getting lower offers. So, because we're only going to be going for people that can afford to pay their agent. So this is what we're going to do. And they're like, okay. So
Yep.
I
And then
know.
I have my way of doing it too, which is I tell them, sellers, you've never paid the buyer's agent ever. Never. What you paid me was my whatever percent we agree on. That's what you paid me. I chose out of my money to offer to pay the buyer's agent X percent. But that's where all the bad information comes in. Seller, you've never in the history paid the buyer's agent. The list agent pays. That's why if I'm charging 10% and I give the buyer's agent 2%, that's my money that I'm giving them, not yours. I was just throwing a percent out
Yeah.
there.
I just want to make sure she knows that's not a Michigan thing.
No.
No, but here in Michigan, it's whatever we want. I have a lot of sellers that sign at 7.5%. And out of that 7.5%, I give to the buyer agent 3%. It's out of my money. I'm not asking the seller to come even more to pay the buyer's agent. This is what I charge to get your house sold. I'm going to pay them, not you.
Right. It's all part of a cost of selling a house. And something that I heard that was really interesting that I didn't know. So like high-end sales, right? So if you talk about like some of these large auction houses that sell all kinds of expensive cars, paintings, whatever for millions of dollars, right? They typically charge 10%. So real estate sales prices, those commissions are super cheap. So anyway, yeah, I was like, wow. So anyway, all right, great. I think we covered the basis on this one. We probably won't need to talk about this one again. But sure is an interesting discussion. And just wanted to end this with congratulations to all of you guys on all the great work that you guys are doing. And Sherry, I don't think we've met all that much before, but excited to have you on the calls. Please come again.
Thanks, sir.
And great. So with that, let's go get them, get some business, and have a terrific day. Okay.
Oh, hold on. I
Uh-oh.
want to share something really quick.
Okay.
Grab
Wendy's got
this and
something to share.
it's so good. You don't have to share it right now because it's a long call.
Oh,
But if you guys,
this
the
YouTube.
follow-up one. Yeah.
Okay.
So Kyle
Okay.
Whistle's group did a follow-up and she had a lot of really good tips. So anyway, watch that if you
Okay.
are,
Click on that link before this meeting closes, so you got it. And then we're here again next week. All right. Thanks, everyone.
you guys have a
Have
good
a
week.
good day.
Bye now.